views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Show you the way. Let me be your shining light. Keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try. Show me your new white dress. Flowing in the deep blue sky. Rolling hillside where you lose your sorrow. 'Cause there is always tomorrow.
Hello, this is Patty Hunter, Patty's Page, and my co-host is
Terry Doran. Thank you, Patty. And I'm thrilled to be here with John Two Hawks.
Yes, this is John Two Hawks. Hello.
Hi, Patty. How are you?
I got a lot of questions for you now.
All right.
So does Terry. So, in the beginning, no, okay. How long have you been a flautist?
Oh, most of my adult life. I started, actually, my music actually started with vocals and strings. I began playing the guitar when I was about 4 years old.
Oh.
And the singing started before that even.
You got a nice voice.
So, thank you. And so, I was always able to kind of pick up instruments and find out how to play them without any help. And so the guitar was one of those, and then I picked up percussion, and then I picked up other stringed instruments. And
self-taught.
So, yeah. So I was, you know, I had done lots of different kinds of music when at one point in my life I was doing kind of cultural programs for universities and schools and stuff. And I had the idea to bring a flute. And so I brought a flute along, and I began to just play it as a demonstration more than anything. And when I started playing it, it was just easy to play for me. It came easy. And it wasn't long after that, people started asking after the programs. They started saying, do you have that on tape, or do you have that on CD or whatever? You know, at the time there weren't CDs, so it was before CDs. And they said, do you have that on tape? You know, so the more they asked that, the more we started thinking, well, maybe there's something to this. And so that began the process where I began to, actually use the flute as more than just a kind of a cultural demonstration. I actually began to use it in a musical way then.
Well, we met you at Come to Go here in Fort Wayne when you did a concert with the Mimi Burns Band, and it was beautiful, and you played the flute and talked about your heritage, and it's a wonderful combination, so I'm thrilled to see you again, John.
Yeah, thrilled to see you too, and that was a really cool evening, wasn't it? I love those guys, they're great.
Yeah, well, I will always remember pulling into the parking lot, and you were warming up, and it just was like heaven. That flute music was coming all the way out into the parking lot, and it was just wonderful.
Wow.
How many flutes do you have now?
At last count, I'm pretty sure I had over 60.
Wow.
That are in my studio, and I obviously can't take them all with me. When I'm on the road, I travel with about a dozen flutes, and it depends on what I'm going to play.
Well, how long have you been buying them? I mean, they must be very expensive.
Well, I have to. It's kind of funny.
Are they specially made for you?
A lot of them are.
Ah,
a lot of them I get in the mail from people I've never met. I've been fortunate that almost all of my flutes have been gifted to me. I've actually only purchased a few of them myself, but you are right about their cost. A really good flute is not cheap. It surprises people sometimes when they come up and they see a flute for sale. How much? And you tell them it's $220 or something, and they go, oh, they're a little stunned by that. But they are a legitimate and very, it takes a lot of skill to make a flute and make it right, so.
What is it about the flute that makes it stand out from other instruments? There's just something magical, I think. Like I said, when I heard your flute music coming out into the parking lot, it was just like a magical feeling.
You know, I think the flute, I'm glad you asked that, because I think the flute is from our culture, it was used not only for song, it was used for spiritual reasons as well. And so it's really a spiritual instrument as much as it is a musical instrument. And I always explain it this way. The flute had his heart taken out. Its heart it's empty on the inside, you know? And the problem sometimes we have as human beings is we get ourselves in the way. We get filled up with stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And it prevents the spirit from flowing through us. And so if the player's in a good place and allows themselves to be emptied, then the spirit can move through that space and can overflow out of that space. And so when you're playing that flute in that way, that spirit overflowing goes into the flute. And then the sound comes out and it carries that with it. It carries that kind of medicine or healing power with it. And here's the real clincher. It goes into the empty places inside of the people who are listening, you see? And it heals in ways that words or medicine, you know, pills and, you know, whatever cannot. It goes into the deep places inside of us that need healing or that need something. And it speaks to us. And that's why I think people respond in a deep way to the sound of the flute, because they hear it and they go, wow, it speaks to me somehow, you know? And I think that's why.
That is a beautiful answer. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that you have made a new film.
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
Yeah,
Can we talk about that?
I did some music for a film. I think that's what you're talking about, yeah. Well, where I live in a really cool little place called Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It is an artist mecca, and it's literally, the place is populated with you know, painters and musicians and poets and writers and artists of every kind, sculptors, potters, you name it. And so this gentleman, Kai Roberts, he decided to do a film called Eureka, The Art of Being. And it's all about the artistry of Eureka Springs, the artists themselves, and the artistry of the place. And so when I saw the snippet for it a few months back, I was very impressed with it. And so one thing led to another, and we made connection, and I ended up putting the music to this really, really cool film about Eureka Springs and the artists that live there.
Fabulous. Where can we see it?
Well, it actually premiered last night.
Oh, last night. Wow.
Yes, it premiered last night
in Eureka Springs.
At the Odd in Eureka Springs, and it was a big gala event, and I hear it was a great premiere. So,
You didn't go?
so I was on my way up here, so I couldn't make the premiere. I was really disappointed about that, but you know, that's what happens sometimes. But but the film is going to be, I believe, available via the web at some point.
Okay.
YouTube?
I don't know about YouTube. Oh, okay. I do know that there are probably previews or snippets of it on YouTube. And as far as the actual being able to get the DVD, I believe they're going to offer them online and in various locations that are kind of good places to promote Eureka Springs in a way, you know, because that's what it's about. But he is actually going to take it. It's going to be entered into film festivals and stuff in different places. So it's cool.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Why do I have a feeling you're going to have an award for that one? Grammy
We'll see.
Award. You have won several Grammys.
I have actually been honored to have been awarded with a Grammy nomination and an Emmy nomination and several Native American Music Awards nominations. So those are pinnacles. Those are moments of, you know, where you...
Absolutely. And the film then will be available for the public at some point.
Very soon. Yeah, they're working on it right now.
But when you do music for a film like that, was the film completed and then you watched it and then you got your impression and added your special touch?
That is exactly how all music is put to film.
That's right.
When people are often surprised by that, but it is true that most of the film is done, no matter what film you're working with, whether it's a documentary, whether it's a feature-length, film, it's always mostly done by the time the music starts to be used for it. Now, sometimes a director is smart enough to be thinking about the music while the filming is happening.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to have music there, and I'd like to hear this there, and those kinds of things. And so we, as musicians and composers, what we do is we come in after the film is mostly complete, and they send us a screen copy, and we get to watch it and figure out where we want to put the music, where it feels like there needs to be music here, and so on. And so that's how we do it.
So this could open up a new avenue of creativity for you too, scoring films. And
I've actually, I did the music for the movie "Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee."
Oh, yes.
And and that was my first real kind of jump in with both feet into the making music for film
what a great
arena.
book
And
that
wow,
was.
that was an incredible film and an incredible experience. And that music was nominated for an Emmy. And so that was pretty cool. And so that was a real exciting experience. I got to go out to Warner Brothers Studios in Hollywood, California, and we recorded at Eastwood Soundstage, and it was really an amazing, wonderful experience. So yeah, I love scoring film. Love it.
That's all right. Who was the director and produced it?
Of Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, or Bury My Heart
that-
at Wounded Knee was directed by a man called Yves Simoneau. He's from Canada. Yep, he's French Canadian.
My dad was born there.
Oui. So there you go. So he directed it, and he's a great guy. And then the guy that I worked with that was the film score composer. His name is George S. Clinton, and he's been a Hollywood film score composer for decades. And he's now the chair of film music at Berklee College of Music in Boston. And so he's a great guy, and I got to really get to know him and become friends with him in that process. So those were the people that really did it and did the work on it.
Okay, just a minute. Okay.
Your Native American heritage, how important is that? I mean, what do you try to convey to your audience as part of your heritage through your art? If that.
That's a great question. Growing up as a person who identified as a Lakota person, I have other heritage as well. I have a little bit of Irish and a little bit of French, thrown in for spice.
Yeah.
And and then on my paternal grandfather had some Anishinaabe blood, so there's a little mix in there. But I grew up Lakota, and so I am Lakota.
Yeah.
And that's what that's how I identify, and I always have. And when I'm performing or I'm doing my music or I'm doing a teaching like we'll be doing here today with music, what's important to me is that I feel that as Indigenous people there are a lot of kind of wisdoms, if you will, that I think can benefit the world. And I think because of the things that happened in history, some of those wisdoms have been maybe not fully experienced by the mainstream society. And so I feel like for me it's important to share what I can from that place, so that all people can benefit from some of the things I learned growing up from elders and from our people and from the ways that they live and they lived in the times past. And I think that there's lessons there for us as we head into a very, into a future that's depending upon us to make the right decisions. And so I think it's important to me to share those things because I think it applies to our future.
What is your definition of being a wise person?
I think wisdom is about one thing. I think it is humility.
Right.
I think humility is the seed that wisdom grows out of.
Just be yourself.
And when you're humble, when you're not full of yourself, like I said earlier about the flute, when you're not full of yourself and you're empty on the inside, and you can be humble and be okay with whatever happens, like we're missing a piece of equipment here today for my show, and at first it frustrates you, but then you've got to say, okay, it is what it is. You just have to be humble about it. accept things. And that's part of wisdom too, is acceptance, I think, humility, acceptance. I think if the world over, humanity could learn humility, there would be no more war. There'd be no more poverty.
Agree.
There'd be no more of any of this stuff if we learn that it's not about me, it's about we. And when I care more about you or the other person than I do about myself, and I'm willing to let them go first, and then they're willing to let me go first, that's a world I want to live in.
That's the type of
attitude.
That's the type of attitude I have. I like to help others, and myself, I have to once in a while take care of me.
Yeah.
If I don't take care of me, then I'm not useful for anyone, including myself. But I love helping others, and I know Terry does.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that you don't. It doesn't mean that you don't take care of yourself, like you said.
Right.
It's an ironic thing, but when you take care of others, you get taken care of.
Yes.
See, and that, and again, going back to your earlier question, the way of our people is to give of yourself first. See, and when you and in the old times, everybody did that, so everyone was taken care of because everyone was in the mode of giving. You see. So there wasn't any taking. It wasn't about taking for yourself. It was about giving to others. So everyone was giving to everyone, see? So everyone got what they needed, and nobody had more than they needed. And that's a beautiful way to live. And I think the more closer we get to that around the world, that way of not taking more than you need, only using what you need, only having what you need. And the closer we can get to that, the better our world will be, I think.
Oh, totally agree. I made a documentary about Native Americans of Indiana called Eagle Gone. It won some awards. This is the most spiritual show I've ever done. And a lady that I interviewed, you might know her from Newberry Library, Dr. Helen Tanner, wrote Great Lakes, History of Great Lakes Native Americans. Anyway, I always remember one of the stories she told me, that when the French fur traders arrived in Fort Wayne, used to be called Kikianga, and they would arrive on the river and see Kikianga, the Native Americans, Miami, Delaware, etc. Right. And they'd say, well, where are the jails? Where are the old people's homes? Right. Well, where are they?
Right.
Well, they weren't there because of what you said. Yeah. How you described it. Yeah. They took care of each other.
Yep, it's true.
You have upcoming events. What's happening with your touring?
Well, we're here today. In Fort Wayne.
Today is June the 8th.
Yep.
2014.
June 8th, and we're doing a seminar and a mini concert here. And then we will be in Grand Ledge, Michigan on the 11th, and I'll be doing a full-fledged concert there at a place called the Historic Grand Ledge Opera House. It's an awesome place.
What's the name of the city?
It's called Grand Ledge, Michigan.
Grand Ledge. Where is that?
It's right, just not too far from the capital. It's right, just kind of the outskirts of Lansing. And I'll be doing a show there, and that's on Wednesday. And then after that, we've got another seminar and concert in Yellow Springs, Ohio. Mm-hmm. And then following that, and that's on June 21st. Yeah. And then following that, we have on June 27th, 8th, and 9th, we have the Moonwave Expo, which
Tell me about Moonwave.
Yeah.
What is that?
And I'll be doing a concert and whatnot there, and we're setting up, and I'll be doing some teachings there as well. And what Moonwave is Moonwave is a concept that we came up with, and again, it's getting back to this kind of how can we do what we can to help all of humanity as we look toward the future. And that's what Moonwave's about. We decided to come up with this idea to put the concepts of organic, sustainable, and holistic all together. Because they all, essential oils is part of that. Yeah. Organic clothing that's not made from, chemically, altered materials. All of those things. The different kinds of food that we eat, even. We're selling organic chocolate, even. We're trying to offer people not only products but services and experiences that are sustainable, organic, and holistic. And that's what the Moonwave concept is about. That's what the business is about. That's what the website's about. And it's what the expos are about. It's getting people together that do everything from solar power to beekeeping to to holistic essential oils to you name it. And all of these things together in one place, and to celebrate them and learn from each other and become better people in the process,
Boy, does America need your message.
Well, thank you.
And it really, seriously, it does. I mean, there's very little humility in our society, and your message is powerful. And what I love about it is you combine the wisdom of spoken word that you have with your creativity, with your art.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we have information that we're going to be putting on when we're editing. His website, as well as Facebook, and the toll-free number for Moonwave, right, Cesare?
Yep.
So, yeah. So, thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
You're
Thank you,
an angel.
Patty. Oh,
thank
you.
And this is a scoop. Anyways. Hug.
I just want to say I think I got that title wrong. It's Atlas of Great Lakes Indian History. I don't want to mess up her great book. It's a wonderful book of research. But,
Right.
John, thank you so
Oh,
much.
absolutely, yes.
It is
Thank you.
always, I say a thrill, because so rarely meet people like you that are so grounded in humility and the wanting to share without being pompous, for lack of a better way of putting
Sure,
it.
yeah,
No,
absolutely.
like, I'm
Yeah.
John Two Hawks. I have all the answers. Listen to me.
Right,
You don't come
yeah.
across that way,
Yeah.
which makes people want to listen, frankly.
I appreciate you saying that. As one of you asked me about what wisdom is. You
Yeah.
asked me that.
Yeah.
And the thing that, what you just said right there reminds me of another kind of example of wisdom that I've often used. I had an elder one time, and we were in a group, and I kind of posed the question to everybody: what would you have written on your headstone if you could choose it? And people put some really nice things. They had, I did good for the world, or I was kind, or I helped people, or whatever. There was some great ones. But then this old elder, he kind of raised his hand. He was going to share what he had come up with to put on his headstone, and so I said yes, and he said that he would have on his headstone 2 words: I tried.
You betcha.
And I thought that was so cool, because it spoke to wisdom, because it wasn't about knowing the answers to everything. It was about accepting that there's a lot we don't know, and that's okay. And to not know is all right, To be able to say, I don't know, is okay. And to just accept what you do know, try to learn more, and to be humble about all of it, That's what I love about the elders.
And from my reading of Native American history and what I know, embracing the mystery of life is a big part of that culture. Another thing we need to learn
Exactly.
from.
Embracing the mystery, not worrying about having all the answers to everything,
Exactly.
Some things do not have an answer.
Right.
Every time I talk with John Two Hawks, he's always so calm. Why?
Well, that's just the way I was made, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, in this world of hyper and stress and that, you come across as a very relaxed and easygoing person.
Yeah, I think one of the things that maybe it's an ironic thing to say this, but one of the things that sort of helped me maybe get to that place in my life might be the fact that when I was a young boy growing up, there was a lot of turmoil, and I had to learn to either kind of sell myself to that,
Right.
or to let go of that. And find a space where I could have peace, and where I could have quiet, and where I could be still. And that may have contributed to that,
Yeah,
too, But I
experience.
think I am just basically just kind of made that way,
Well, I'm glad you have come on to my show. Later on, we'll be filming some of his songs. So stay tuned. And thank you, John,
Yes.
for letting me interview you.
Yes, thank you, Patty.
It's great to see you again.
You too. Yes, thank you.
Hello, welcome to Patty's Page. This is Patty Hunter and Terry Doran.
Thank you, Patty. Glad to be here.
And this is...
I'm Julie Peters from Clear Waters Serenity Center in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
So why do you have this...
Serenity Center?
Yeah.
I've been on my spiritual journey for about 20 years, and I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I found when the path opened up for me that there was very little in the Midwest area, that I've had to study out in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Portland, Oregon, and Charlotte, North Carolina, to seek out, and the doors open. You know, they say when the student's ready, the teacher appears, and I had some amazing teachers. So I feel blessed with the training that I wanted to have a place for people, a safe place where people can unfold and awaken in a safe environment, in a loving environment.
Well, that's, how long have you been in had this in Fort Wayne?
I've been doing this 15 years. I've owned this facility for 10. I've been doing it full time for 10 years. Mm-hmm.
So you traveled around and then came full
I
circle
traveled for training and so
back to
forth,
Fort Wayne.
and I felt a very strong need and a passion to help people understand how spirituality works and how we need to get back in touch with that spirituality within us.
Absolutely.
Our world is changing, and we need to understand how to thrive in these changing times.
And I applaud what you're doing because it is so important, so necessary, so needed in our culture.
You're exactly right.
Which is the opposite of what John talked about when he said we need humility. You know,
humbleness as
humbleness is part of wisdom. And what do we hear about America? America is exceptional. The exact opposite of humility, wisdom, and I think spirituality.
Well, we've lived in the outer world versus in the outer aspects of our lives, which is not who we are. We're spiritual beings in a physical form, trying to be back in touch with our spirituality. And we're not doing a very good job. So what we want to do is to truly... and I've had a lot of training in shamanism, which in the North American, the shamanism is a Native American kind of culture to it. It's 100,000 years old. It predates everything. And in the North American shamanism, it's very heavy in the Native American customs. And, you know, and John Two Hawks is such an amazing lantern bearer for what is. It's about walking with humility, being humble. You can be confident, not arrogant. I feel like when people are walking their spiritual walk, when they can walk with humbleness and confidence. And we can do it. It's just we have to learn to let go of the ego. Yeah.
Well said. Let go of the ego. We're an ego-smeared society.
Well, very narcissistic society. And what the beautiful thing is, you know, the world is awakening finally. And I think it's up to us light workers to spread the light, to know that we can get back in touch with community and to be in a very centered, humble space. Mm-hmm.
Well, you're doing extremely important work.
Well, thank you.
We're going to ask you, why did you bring John Two Hawks here?
You know, I don't believe in accidents. You know, everything happens for a purpose. One of my students had told me about this wonderful man, and it was at another facility about 3 years ago.
Right.
And it was...
Come to go? No.
CG2 or whatever it's called.
Come to go.
Okay, yeah, come to go. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
You can tell.
Music hall.
But anyway, what it is... and they said, well, we want to go. I said, oh, I would love that. So I went there, and he just so impressed me. And through people, I've got John's name and his wife's name, his lovely wife, and asked them if they could grace us with his presence here. And he came last year, and everybody absolutely loved him. And he brings such a beautiful energy and wisdom and teachings to us.
So how many times has he been here?
This will be the second time.
Second
here.
time.
Mm-hmm.
I've interviewed him along with Terry Doran when we were at Come to Go last year.
Oh, was it last year? Or 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
I'm not sure, but we did interview him at Come to Go, and he performed with
The
our friend
Philharmonic
Mimi
and
Burns.
and the
I think-
Irish band, was that?
Yeah,
okay.
Mimi
That
Burns,
was 2 years
yeah.
ago, I think.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah.
it's hard, time flies.
Yeah, time
So-
flies, yeah.
so
But that's where
great.
we met him.
And that's why I was just I'm very specific and very, very protective of who I bring in here. There's many people out there that are falsely trying to, for whatever agenda. I'm just very selective, very protective. I only want to bring heart-centered people in that are truly walking the walk, not just talking it. So.
And that's very important for you because
Well, and
otherwise,
I'm dedicated that this is a safe place for people to come, that they can unfold and awaken and not be judged or, and not feel not safe, and I think it's important to feel safe and not judged.
What else do you offer besides speakers and performers like
Well,
John?
I've been trained for the last 20 years in alternative healing. I do holistic healings where people travel and fly in from all the United States to do healings with me. I've been blessed with amazing cross-training in many areas. I do holistic healings. I'm a certified holistic life coach. I'm also a minister. So I...
Minister of what?
A scene minister. I don't practice it per se, but I have ministry papers. So I just believe in being of the light and sharing, but I do a lot of counseling, a lot of healing, a lot of classes, and a lot of meditation, teaching people how to get quiet within, which is super important to find that space within.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You did good, Deacon.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that you got John Two Hawks here at
Well, it's a blessing for sure.
Clear Waters Serenity Center downtown. No, not
Well, we're close to downtown.
We're close to downtown city
Yeah,
of
we're on
Fort Wayne.
Covington Road, yes.
Covington Road, yeah.
Thank you
Right
so
off 20
much
right
for
off 24.
sharing this. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
My family comes from Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, and by way of Carlisle Indian School, some of my family ended up in Michigan because they started in Pennsylvania. It's a long story. Not too fond of Michigan for that reason, but I did live there, and I now live in a really cool artist community in the northwest corner of Arkansas called Eureka Springs. And so that's where I live. And this is the first stop on this month-long tour that we're doing right here. So we're going to be here. I'll be doing shows also in Michigan, in Ohio, and in Illinois on this trip. So today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be doing the first hour or so. It's going to be more of a teaching, more of a sharing. And I'll include some of these flutes and stuff with some of these stories. And I'm going to get off with this stupid thing for the first part, and really just talk with you and share with you a little bit. And then afterward, then we'll take a brief kind of a break, and I get a chance to meet and greet and chat and talk and sign CDs and all that good stuff. And then I'm going to actually do an actual small kind of a show for you. So I have about an hour of a show, so I'll play some music for you. We had a little mishap with our packing and getting ready for the road, and my wireless mic ended up somewhere not with us. So I can't do my moving and shaking that I like to normally do. Sorry, ladies. Hate to disappoint. But so I'm going to be playing my flute kind of here with this mic, so I'm going to be stuck. So if you watch, if I'm starting to do the Elvis thing, that's why. Because I have to move when I play the flute, and I was majorly disappointed when I realized my wireless receiver was not in the equipment. So hopefully we're going to locate it, and it will be express mailed to Grand Ledge, Michigan. So I have it for my concert at the Opera House this coming Wednesday. Flowing
where you lose your sorrow. 'Cause there is always tomorrow. Wake up, heart, soul, with a sweet songbird. Now let your raindrops fill me, 'cause there's always today to feel alive. I'm forever searching and yearning as I follow the moments to forever. Wake up, heart, soul, with a sweet songbird.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed.